Today's snapstorm coming from crazy stormy Oahu, giving new definition to the term snapstorm. I got the idea to do today's snapstorm on Intros to VC because I got an email asking for me to introduce someone to another VC. This is a request I get all the time and I often decline it. I actually think it's a really bad idea for me to introduce you to another VC. The reason is, if I introduce you to another VC, the first question is, if this is such a good deal, why isn't that guy doing it? And no matter how many excuses I create, this isn't the kind of deal I do, this isn't the right geography, it isn't the right stage, it'll never get out of that person's mind. What I want to cover today is, how do you actually meet a VC? What's the best way to get an intro? The obvious starting point is you want an intro from someone the VC actually knows well. Like anything, there's a stack rank of who are the best people to introduce you and who are the worst people. The absolute best way to get an intro to a VC is from a CEO in their portfolio. Most of the most talented people that we as VCs actually back, those are the people we listen to the most, the founders, the people most connected. So a great intro from a founder is almost certainly going to go to the top of the stack for any VC. So what I would recommend doing is take the VC you really want to meet, look at which companies they're invested in now and in the past, and you got to figure out how to meet those people. Don't meet the super successful ones. If that person's backed Snapchat, for example, you don't want to ask for an intro to Evan Spiegel. I got news. He doesn't have time for you. But there's always a range of portfolio companies, and you can always find one that's earlier stage or maybe less developed. You can't contact the CEO and say, I'm contacting you because I want an intro to a VC. That just doesn't work. It is okay to introduce yourself, try to get coffee, try to get a phone call with that person, and your goal is to establish a relationship. If you're authentic about how you do this, if you meet multiple people in the portfolio over time and slowly build a relationship, you'll earn the right for intros. Follow the principle you need to give before you get. Over time, you'll find ways to help other people. And the more you help, the more you can get in return. Once you do build authentic relationships, whether through Twitter or blogs or even meeting someone in person, eventually you need to convert that into an intro. The key is not to ask too early in your new budding relationship, but also to be humble in how you ask, like, would you mind possibly introducing me to A, B, or C? And be prepared to accept no, because if that person doesn't feel comfortable, you need to accept that. There are other people who can introduce you to a VC. I'm going to cover some of those now. At VCs, we work really closely with startup lawyers, and those often provide really good introductions. It has to be someone that we're close to, and it has to be someone who's not an over-introducer. If I get too many intros from a law firm, I stop paying attention. You can certainly ask angels to introduce you to a VC. There's a more natural connection point. Every VC had a job before they were a VC. If you can find someone who worked with us at Google, at Facebook, at our last company, those also are great introductions. And by the way, this is your best way to meet angels too. If you can meet startup entrepreneurs from a community and get them to introduce you to your angels, that's the best way to meet an angel. It is always better to be introduced than sending a cold email or contacting people directly, even if they do respond. And that's because a warm intro will have a VC leaning into your relationship versus a cold email where they're not assuming that familiarity. I'm going to give you an insider tip on how I even work when I'm doing what you have to do, which is we as VCs have to fundraise too. I got to a point in my own fundraising process where I refused to go see LPs, the people who invest in VC funds, unless I got introduced. Even if I already knew the LP, even if I already had access, even if I'd already met him at a conference, I still wanted an intro. An introduction meant the LPs were actually leaning into the meetings more than just taking a meeting. So when they got introduced by Brad Feld or someone similar, they were more interested. So I spent the time to figure out which VCs knew which LPs and which VCs I could actually ask for help. I do exactly what I preach. What this did is massively increase my own personal hit rate when I went to meetings with LPs. As always in life, don't take shortcuts. Don't send people Snapchat pitches. Don't send them Twitter pitches. Do the hard work.